early in the morning and stuff.
Just not say anything you don't want her, okay?
We won't.
All right, P4 number 46. Here we go. And thank you for all being here and being here on time this morning. That's wonderful.
The quiz and the review.
The only one absent has a reason to be absent, so we're good.
Yeah, the quiz.
All right, number 46. Okay, so she has $18,000 and she's going to break it up into two pieces. Part of it is going to be in the bank at 5% interest and part of it is going to be in the bank at 8% interest. Would you agree with that? Okay. They tell me that she's going to put X dollars in at 5%. So this is X. Now, how much is left then to go in at 8%? Remember, she had $18,000 to start with. She put X of it here, so how much would be left? $18,000 minus X. Think about it for a minute. If she put $4,000 here, how much would be here? 14, because you take 18 minus what you put here. So the amount of interest that she earns would be 0.05 times X plus 0.08 times 18,000 minus X. So there's like your little equation that's going to help you find out how much interest. Then the question says, oh, I didn't do the first part. That's B. A is, what are the possible values of X? So in other words, what's your domain? What could X be? Could X be negative 52? No. Could X be 2 million? No. What could X be? Anything between 0 and 18,000. Or in terms of an interval, these are your possible values of X. Obviously, if X is the chunk of money you're putting in the bank at 5%, it can't be negative. And you only have 18,000, so it can't be bigger than 18,000. Then it says, okay, now we don't need to graph and trace. You can if you want, but I only graph on my calculator when I can't solve it more easily otherwise. And certainly question C, I can solve easily. It says I earn $1,020 in interest. So here's my equation. Where am I going to put the 1,020? Right here. So I am just going to solve that equation. And that will give me X. Now, if you graphed it, you would end up with the same thing, but it's going to take longer to graph it. You're going to have to hassle around. This is an easy equation to solve, right? Distribute, collect by terms, whatever. And then the last, so the answer to that will be C. And then the last one says, again, we're not going to mess around with the grapher. It says I want to earn 1185. So if I want to earn 1185, won't I just change this number to 1185? And that'll do it for me. Let's not graph unless that's the best way to do the problem. Or maybe the only way for me to do the problem. That is easy. Okay? All right, who has another one? Something else we need to talk about before tomorrow. Especially keep in mind that review sheet for the whole chapter that we talked about yesterday. Or not yesterday, but the day before. Right?
Yeah.
Chapter P review we looked at. Okay. On that review sheet, did we talk about, I can't remember how much we did we talk about problem 3B that talks about the circle centered at the origin with a radius of √5 and the point 1, 2 and writing the equation of the line tangent to that. So my job is to write the equation of this line right here. Well, what does it take to write the equation of a line? What do you need to have? You gotta have a slope, and you gotta have a point. Any point will do. The y-intercept would be best, but any point will do. And I have a point. I have 1, 2. I gotta find the slope of that red line. I would need another point, wouldn't I? I don't have another point. What's the only other point I know for sure? 0, 0. The center of the circle. So this guy, could I find the slope of that line? That's a radius, right? I could find the slope of that. So the slope of the radius is what? 2 minus 0 over 1 minus 0, 2. Now, in order to do the problem, you have to remember something from geometry. You have to remember that these are perpendicular. There's a theorem that says a radius and a tangent are perpendicular at the point of tangency. So a radius and a tangent are perpendicular at the point of tangency. Now, how does that help me?
It's opposite slope.
Because since the lines, I know the slope of this guy is 2. Since these are perpendicular, I know the slope of the red one has to be -1/2. Because perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So now I know my slope and I have a point. Now I can write the equation of the line either using point slope or slope intercept, whatever you like best. So I'm a point sloper, so I'll do that. So I get -1/2x plus 5/2. You should get exactly the same thing if you do y equals mx plus b. You should get exactly the same thing. Okay, let's see, what else? I'm looking at my review sheet. Did we talk about part 1 yesterday, or whatever day we came together? No? Alright, let's look at part 1 where it says name the property.
Oh yeah, we did do that.
Okay, so I told you to mark a couple of them off? Okay, yeah.
We did like, we talked about this whole workshop.
We did the whole sheet? Oh, did I already do that problem?
Yeah, we already did everything.
We did the whole worksheet?
Like we did the whole back. Except for one.
I know we did the whole back. We also did the whole front?
We didn't do the whole front. I finished the whole front.
Well, you did, because you're amazing.
Well, I thought it was due today.
And that's okay. Did you have any questions about anything on the front?
No, you gave us the answers.
Yeah, I gave you the answers.
Oh wait, one of them I thought was wrong.
One of them's wrong?
I thought one of the answers was wrong.
Okay,
It
which one?
might not be, but I thought it was.
It very possibly could be.
It was for number 4A.
4A.
Yeah. You said the answer you put down was x minus 1 squared plus y minus 4, but it should be x minus 4 and y minus 3.
Good, thank you. The answer on the answer sheet for number 4A should be this. I have a mistake. I'll need to fix that. Hopefully I'll remember. Make myself a note. Thank you. You're exactly right. X goes with X and Y goes with Y. Okay? But nothing else, Alec?
What's review sheet number 2? It says on school review.
Does it say for September 6th?
August 26th.
And it says review 2?
It says review sheet 1.1 through 1.4, and then it says review sheet number 2, 1.1 through 1.4.
Okay. Yeah, that's for chapter 1. That's our next set of assignments.
Where's the one that's
Monday. Posted last Monday.
Thank you.
Yeah, I put on today, I put on our next set of assignments, but I put them on tomorrow's date because we don't want to worry about those till starting tomorrow.
Can you go over how to do number 5E?
5E.
Yes, that was my question.
This is an equation and it says solve without a calculator. Okay, solve without a calculator. Now, we know that if we were doing this on our calculator, we would just type it in, y equals, and what would we be looking for? When we are solving on our calculator, what are we looking for? The zeros, or the x-intercepts, where we cross the x-axis, okay? Okay, no calculator though. So what are you gonna do? Group them. When we have more than 3 terms, we generally try to factor by grouping. So we look at the first 2 terms and what can we factor out of just the first 2 terms?
X squared.
X squared. Leaving us with x minus 1. And then look at the last 2 terms. What can we take out of those? Minus 4, let's take out the negative 4, and what will that leave us with if we take out a negative 4? X minus 1. Now, if factoring by grouping is going to work, and it, like all factoring, it doesn't work all the time. If it's going to work, these have to match, right? If those don't match, you either did it wrong or it doesn't work. They have to match. They do match, so I'll write them down. And then I'll write down everything else. So that would be x squared minus 4 in this case. And then what do I know about x squared minus 4? It's the difference of squares. So x plus 2x minus 2. And now I just set all these equal to 0 and solve. So x is going to equal 1, negative 2, or 2. Right? Now, no number line, no shading, no checking numbers, because this is an equals. If this had been a less than, or something, then I would draw the number line, put those dots on the number line, and check to see which ones gave me less than 0. You see the difference between the 2 problems? They start out the same, but if it's an equals, you just stop right there. All right, good. All right, what else? Anything else that we have to talk about? Or any other answers that maybe you didn't think were right? Okay, then let me ask you a question. How about this? An object is top of a 20-foot building with an initial velocity of 40 feet per second. When will it hit the ground? When will it be more than 30 feet?
We have this question of the test.
Were they on the review sheet?
Yeah.
Then they're on the test. All right, so we have 2 questions here. All right, so I will give you, in order to do this problem, you need an equation. So I will give you the general formula, which you probably already know because you've used it a couple times. Now, I like to use H here. Your book uses S. Some other teacher could use Q. It doesn't matter, right? This stands for height. This stands for time. All right, here we go. So what is my general equation? We'll do part A first. What's my general equation going to be? S of t equals what? Negative 16t squared plus 40t plus 20. When will it hit the ground?
0.
What 0? This is 0 because that's the height variable. So I'm going to put 0 right there, and now I'm going to solve this equation. Now, you can solve that equation any way you want to, okay? You can solve that equation any way you want to. But before I did anything with it, I would probably divide the whole shebang by, 4? That, I think, would just make your numbers a lot smaller. So 4t squared minus 10t minus, I'm dividing by negative 4, so minus 5. Is that okay with everybody? Now, how do I solve that? How do you want to solve that? We could use the quadratic formula for sure. That will always work. The ones they gave us in the textbook factored nicely, but since I just randomly made this one up, I'm sure it doesn't factor. So t equals quadratic formula. Here we go. Negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 ac all over 2a. You're going to have a calculator to assist you, so we're not worried about this arithmetic. Oh, is that just 180? So 10 plus the square root of 180 over 8, and 10 minus the square root of 180 over 8. I got one answer. I got 2.93. And the other one, ooh, I got a negative. Here's a picture. We're throwing it from 20 feet above the ground. So here's a picture of the situation. Would you agree with that? this is where it's hitting the ground. So my answer is 2.93 seconds. That is this other point back here. But in terms of the problem, it doesn't make any sense. Mathematically, it makes sense. But in terms of the application, it does not. Everybody okay with that? When will it be more than 30 feet high? Somewhere here's 30. When will it be more than 30 feet high? What do I do?
Wait, I just had a question. For the quadratic formula, do we always have to write it as a number, or could we write it like 10 plus or minus 180 over 8?
Oh, you mean can you leave your answer like this?
Yeah.
That would be the exact answer, but if I were like really doing this problem and I said, when's the ball gonna hit the ground? Is this the way I'm gonna answer it? I mean, like if I actually go to the gym and throw a ball up in the air, when does it hit the ground? Am I gonna answer like this or like this?
Like that.
Like that, yeah. This would be called the exact answer though. This is the exact answer. This one's been rounded off a little bit. But practically speaking, this is the answer. I mean, this is what I would want to know.
Okay.
About almost 3 seconds it's going to be in the air. All right, what do I do about B now? How do I find out when it will be more than 30 feet high?
You just plug in 30. The
Plug in 30
zero is
where?
Where the 0 was.
Yep, where the 0 was, I'm going to plug in 30. Because this is the height, so I'm going to plug in 30 equals negative 16t squared plus 40t plus 20. And then I'll set that equal to 0 because that's what I do when I solve quadratic equations. And then I'm going to solve that. Now, you can leave it like it you want, like that if you want. I'm going to divide everything by negative 2, which is all I can do this time. But at least my numbers are a little bit smaller. Now, I'm going to do exactly what I did here, right? I'm going to solve that. And I'm going to get 2 answers. Right? And those 2 answers will be these x values right here. So how will I answer the question? When will it be more than 30 feet high? How will I answer the question? With parentheses, and my 2x values here that come out of that, or my 2t values that come out of that. Is that right? Okay, well, you're all sitting there politely and attentively, but I don't think anybody's really into this. So if you have no more questions, I'm going to start section 1.1. I'm ready to go. So if you want to ask a question, want to participate, I'm good. Otherwise, I'm starting 1.1. So last call for a question you have. Yes,
I have a
please.
question. On P7, it's on 27, I think it is.
P7, 27.
Yeah. Like, will there be one, like, I know we did a cube group where we could group, factor by grouping, but those you couldn't necessarily factor by
P7, 27. Solve the equation graphically. You can't, that one doesn't group, it doesn't have enough terms.
Yeah.
So that one you would have to, I mean, it says solve graphically, but that one we would have to put into our calculator and find where it crosses the x-axis. Now, was that an inequality?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so what that means is when I solve it on, or when I graph it on my calculator, I don't know exactly, I'm making this up. I have no idea what it looks like in reality, but something like that. and I wanna know, here's where it crosses the x-axis. So here's where it actually equals 0. So is the problem an or equal to? Yeah. So those dots are closed in. That's where it actually equals 0. Now, where are the values more than 0? Because this is a greater than problem. So where are they more than 0? They're more than 0 here, higher, above 0, there, and they're above 0 here. So I'm making these totally up. I have no idea what the answers are. I'm going to say -1, 2, and 5. Okay? Those are wrong answers, but let's just say that's what they are. So then you would say your answer is everything from -1 to 2, or everything, from 5 to infinity. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is find these points. Just type it on your calculator, go to, to 0, and find those. Obviously, if it had been a less than 0 problem, we'd be looking at this part of the number line and that part of the number line. Yeah, that one you would have to do on your calculator. Yes.
On number 10 on the review, would we just use the distance form? Okay, for number A, 10A, you'd be using the distance formula, right? And would you plug in like?
Whoa! Using the distance formula. Whoa. 10A says, write the equation of a linear function. We did that yesterday in class, or whatever day we did that in class.
This question? Yeah, I have it in my notes then. Okay.
And what does write the equation of a linear function mean? It doesn't mean find the distance. It doesn't say anything about finding the distance. Write the equation of the linear function. What's that mean? Write the equation of the line. So what do we need to do that? We already talked about it. What do we need to do that?
At this time, the Finance Commission team members that are participating in today's assembly, please report to the work activity center at this time. Also, the gospel choir needs to report to the work activity center at this time. Thank you.
Does anyone know what time this period's over today? 35? Okay. So we're going to write the equation of the line, finding the slope. So Evie, you're going to use the same 2 points that you were going to do the distance between, but you're going to find the slope of them.
Okay.
And then write the equation of the line based on that.
This is back to the other one that's on the right side about the object thrown from the top of a 20-foot building. And I was asking about, for the part where it says more than 30 feet high, how would you write your answer for that?
It would be the open interval, or whatever, when you solve this equation right here, which I didn't solve because I'm going to do it just like this, and nobody was paying attention to me when I was doing this. So I'm not going to do this one again. It's the same thing, quadratic formula. It's going to give me 2 answers, and it's between those 2 answers. More than means higher than those 2 points. So if this gave me a 1 and this gave me a 2, then it would be everything between 1 and 2. And it says more than, so it's an open interval. Blakely?
Will there be a question like 63 on P1 on the test?
63 P1. We should know how to do it regardless, whether it's on the test or not. 63. Yeah, you should know how to do scientific notation. What's wrong with that?
I don't know. I just got stuck on it.
We'll multiply all those and divide all those numbers.
Okay.
So 1.35 times 2.41 divided by 1.25. So I get 2.6028 for the number part of it. Okay, and that's going to be times 10 to some power. Now, what have I got for my powers? I've got 10 to the negative 7 on top, 10 to the 8th on top, and 10 to the 9th on the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to take care of these. When I multiply two numbers, what do I do with their exponents? Add them. So that will be 10 to the 1st. And when I divide two numbers, what do I do with the exponents? Subtract. So that'll be 10 to the negative 8. Now, normally we wouldn't want to have something to the negative 8. Like if we had x to the negative 8, we wouldn't want that. We would rewrite it as 1 over x to the 8th, right? But since this is scientific notation, we don't have any choice. We're going to leave it 10 to the negative 8th because scientific notation needs negative exponents. So that's all there is to it.
Going back to this one over here, if it was when will it be less than 30? Would your answer be to the negative infinity or to?
Oh no.
To 0.
It's a 0. And likewise over here, it would be, if we wanted to be less than 30, it would be 0 to that number. So if that's 1, it would be 0 to 1. That's when it's less than. And then 2 to whatever we said that we had that, but was that 2.93? I think that was 2.93 when it hit the ground. So it would be between 2 and 2.93. Now there's no infinities in this because you have a definite starting time and you have a definite ending time. All right, anything else?
Did you do a problem with solving for I?
Solving for I, like what kind? Give me an example of what you mean. Solving for I. Not sure I know what you mean. Do you mean?
I think it was at P6.
No, yeah, all the I stuff is in P6. So, did you mean something like simplifying I to the 232nd power? Or did you mean simplifying, 1 plus I over 2 minus 3I? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, that one.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. How do we simplify that? We multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator. And the conjugate of 2 minus 3I is 2 plus 3I. So this is what you wanted me to do?
Yeah.
Okay. So this then becomes a massive foiling situation. We're just going to foil the top and foil the bottom. So when I foil the top, first outside, inside, last, I get 2, 3I, 2I, and 3I squared. And then on the bottom, I get 4 plus 6I minus 6I minus 9I squared. Double check my arithmetic, is that okay? Now we can collect like terms. So these guys make a 5I. These guys cancel, which is the reason we did it, right? That should always happen. That's what the conjugate does. Now what about these I squares? -1. So that's really a -3 combined with the 2 makes -1. And that's -1 also, so this is really a +9 plus 4 gives me 13. Remember, if it had been something like -2 plus 5I over 4, even though 2 goes into 4, you still cannot cancel. The only way you could cancel is if it looked like this. Because now you can take a 2 out of everything, right? So that one would reduce. This does not reduce, and obviously that one doesn't reduce.
Number 24,
P6, 24. Says, this is the equality of complex numbers. If two complex numbers are equal to each other, if two complex numbers are equal to each other, the only way that can happen is if A equals C and B equals D. In other words, the like terms have to match up. So the stuff with no eyes equal, and the stuff with the eyes are equal. That's what it means to be equal complex numbers. So when I look at problem number 24, everything on one side without an eye has to be equal to everything on the other side without an eye. So, okay, what doesn't have an eye over here? X. What doesn't have an eye over here? 3 plus 4? So X must be 7. All right, now what has an eye over here? 6. What has an eye over here? -1 minus 2y. Those are the eyes. So 7 equals -2y, and y equals -7/2. What? I can't hear you. I think that's right. All right, so if you have an eye, the stuff with eyes on each side is equal, and the stuff without eyes equal. All right, is that it? All right, let's get that section being turned in at the beginning of the period, people. Next time it's turned in at the beginning, please. Tomorrow, what will I be collecting? The 2 review assignments. There's one in the book, posted on Monday's Schoology, last Monday,